claim that I'm responding to is Eliot's claim, and that's that ancient artifacts provide evidence that disproves mainstream anthropology theories. My response to his claim is that there aren't really any mainstream theories because there are always new discoveries, evidence, and theories that are always being uncovered. His secondary claims are that 1, stone circles redefine the timeline of the Neolithic man. 2, the city of Tiwanaku questions the thought that questions can build magnificent structures with just stone tools. I'm not going to disprove his claim because there's evidence that these stone circles exist, but I'm going to diminish his argument. Eliot states that 2 stone circles were constructed during the Stone Age, implying that these feats were hard to believe that people of the Stone Age constructed them. He also says that the Stonehenge was made between 3,500 to 2000 BC. But according to Britannia, earliest archaeological evidence dates the beginning of Stonehenge to around 8000 BC. He also implies that since the Stonehenge was made of these blue stones that were 240 miles away, and they weighed 3 to 8 tons, that it was almost impossible for these people to make. But there are theories of how the Presley Range bluestone were moved, and one theory is that stones were dragged on roller and sled to the ocean, then sailed to Bristol, then to what is now Frome, then pulled on land to what is now Westminster, then floated down a river to Stonehenge. Another theory is that they carried the stones in wicker baskets because these baskets floated on water. Another theory is that ball bearings and planks carried the stones with oxen. Another theory is that they used Stone Age technology because in 2003, a man, Wally Wallington, who used to be a construction worker, he built a Stonehenge replica in his yard by moving large objects, by placing walnut-sized rocks under large objects and spinning them. The fifth theory is that these rocks were moved by glaciers because the ice age would freeze and then they would melt and then move the stones. So my response to his first claim is that the bluestones were actually possible to be able to be moved, and that the evidence expands mainstream anthropology theories. Because since his other, he also talks about another stone circle, which is the Göbekli Tepe, and he says that it was like 9,000 BC old, and since the Göbekli Tepe was discovered, other theories are being supported, because the Sphinx is said to have been built around 2,500 BC, but since the discovery of the Göbekli Tepe, it's easy to believe that the Sphinx was actually made between 10,000 to 5,000 BC because there was evidence that shows by Dr. Robert Scott of the Boston, a geologist and professor from Boston University, and he found that the erosion of the Sphinx was actually caused by water and not heavy rainfall, and that even though the Sphinx is said to have been carved by the face of Pharaoh Khafre, it's disproved by forensic tests. his second claim is that the city of Tiwanaku questions the thought that humans can build magnificent structures with just stone tools. The city of Tiwanaku is an ancient ruin in Bolivia, and he explains about the 3 amazing feats that were built, and they were built with really heavy rocks. My response to his secondary claim is that the city of Tiwanaku was actually built by humans. Pumpunka, one of the things that he describes, was made by another rock andesite, but tests were recreated by the Tiwanaku building process, and it was led by Aymara, a native indigenous ethnic group in South America, who are experts in Totora reed boat building. And basically they made an experiment that proved that it was able to carry the rocks to the site.
What was the time, please?
6:14.
All right, well, you discussed the idea of the advocate. Okay, I think you've got an interesting scientific paradigm that you're challenging. In other words, arguing that it's not so much that it's the science that's being rejected, it's just that it's a continuation of our understanding of the world, and that it's not necessarily meaning that something is untrue. You need to be able to state that claim a little bit more simply. You lay out the secondary claims to some degree. I think it could be a little bit sharper. One of the problems is that you get kind of mired in some of the details on each of these points, and all the details I think ultimately are important for what you're talking about because they challenge the premise that the advocate has come up with, that these really suggest that the time limits or that our understanding of Neolithic man is somehow inadequate. You, for example, suggest on Stonehenge and the other circle issues that there are a number of alternative theories that explain how these things could have been done. And then you list all the different theories. You need to get through those theories a little bit more quickly. You need to tell us the source for those particular theories. But ultimately what you have to do is tell us what this means. And basically what it means is that the people of this time period had basic technology that could be applied to a complicated task, and it didn't require anything much more substantial than the other tools that they were using, just a good application of it, which means that it's all consistent with what the advocate was talking about. It doesn't deny it. And then the same sort of thing, especially with the time limits, the same sort of thing on the second point with the Sphinx. I think there's an argument here on both the Stonehenge and on the Sphinx that suggests that the timeline for the building of them is actually much longer than was reported by the advocate. And I think the suggestion that you're making is, which explains why they were able to successfully complete it because of the amount of time that it took, rather than it being some unusual miracle. It's just what else did they have to do? There's no TV anyway. All right, and then like the same sort of thing on the second point. I think you get a little sidetracked on some of the issues that you're talking about. They're interesting points, but you need to explain what the claim is that you're making based on the evidence that you presented. Because you and I talked about it, I have a pretty good understanding of what it was that you were trying to say, but I'm not sure everybody else is going to have that same understanding, so you need to simplify the points that you're making. Thank you.